Top news: Dan Gaynor. The good, the bad, and the absurd. June's wildest political moments and celebrity meltdowns. June was a wild month that it is. It is clogging time school that we had the good June Lockhart of Lassie and Petticoat Junction turning 100, salute. Then there was the bad June, riots in LA, military action in Iran, and a socialist winning the Democratic mayoral primary in New York, no longer my kind of town. The mostly peaceful riots featured the now famous quote about people having fun watching cars burn. And the action in Iran had its own special moments discussed below. Thankfully, it all ended peacefully, unless you live in NYC. With the month concluding on a hot note weather-wise, just before July arrived. 1. With friends like these, CNN's Outfront host Erin Burnett was out in left field about her time in Iran. The mullahs who run Iran have caused the deaths of hundreds of Americans, including over 600 U.S. servicemen killed by Iranian-backed militias in Iraq. Burnett still scored with the second stupidest quote of the month. I remember at one point being in Tehran years ago, and they're chanting "Death to America" all around me even as I say, "Oh, I'm an American, reporting for CNN." And they were happy to speak to me. So those two sort of jarring realities of the chant and yet, the friendliness have existed together. Somehow, that doesn't sound all that friendly to most Americans. CNN host touts friendliness of Iranians who shouted "Death to America," calls it jarring juxtaposition. 2. Democrat no more. Former Biden White House Press Secretary Karine Jean-Pierre declared she wasn't a Democrat anymore. Based on her many lies and misstatements at the White House, perhaps KJP is going to create a modern version of the Know-Nothing Party. Her comments were in pursuit of publicity for her upcoming book, Independent, a look inside a broken White House, outside the party lines. Her decision to become independent was bashed by both left and right. Maybe the big bipartisan moment in America right now is making fun of former Biden staffers. 3. Go West. Former seventh-tier presidential candidate and General Gadfly Cornel West still shows up in television segments on CNN, this June on CNN Newsnight with Abby Phillip. That's the same network that called him the eccentric professor when he resigned from Harvard over a tenure dispute. He took his eccentricity to CNN to blast the United States for using nuclear weapons on Japan in World War II, even though that ended the war. But how he did it was special. Progressive activist Cornel West speaks during a demonstration prior to a march to the Democratic National Convention. Progressive activist and former Harvard professor Cornel West speaks during a demonstration prior to a march to the Democratic National Convention Monday, August 19, 2024, in Chicago. West complained that it was not a high moral moment for those of us to go all the way back to the United States to kill 250 million people in 2 days in Hiroshima and Nagasaki. No one corrected him, they just moved on. The look from conservative contributor Scott Jennings that followed was priceless. For the record, the word the professor wanted was thousand, not million. Oops. 4. On the run. Maybe I love this story because it's almost local. A pet zebra escaped and went on runabout, the Australian walkabout but faster, in Tennessee, dominating the news for over a week because he wasn't easy to catch and zebras are cute. Ed, the zebra broke free and ran down I-24 at one point, causing the road to be closed. Even then he slipped away, eventually being rounded up and helicoptered back home in a net, taking in the sights above the beautiful mountains of the volunteer state. Ed might have been chasing his glory like the zebra in the movie, Racing Stripes. That cast shockingly included Hayden Panettiere and voices of Jeff Foxworthy, Steve Harvey, and Snoop Dogg. Everybody has a mortgage to pay. 5. Alternative media. Billionaire Mark Cuban criticized life in the liberal social media fortress of solitude, saying it isn't all it's cracked up to be. Cuban said Blue Sky, which was created to be a lefty alternative to Twitter/X, is toxic and hateful. He used the platform to criticize the platform. Even if you agree with 95% of what a person is saying on a topic, if there is one point that you might call out as being more of a gray area, they will call you a fascist, etc. This isn't especially a surprise to conservatives who saw how the left managed every other platform from Twitter to YouTube, censoring content like it was the old Soviet Union or the Biden White House. Cuban also made news this month claiming the Kamala Harris campaign considered him as a possible vice president. The Shark Tank star wisely admitted one reason he declined was, "I'm not very good as the number 2 person. Like him or not, he would outshine Harris."